Good morning. Trying to center myself and it's not working very well. Oh, good morning. First, I'd like to thank everyone for being here, both in person and via Zoom. It's been a while since I've been here. I'm in Kansas now, and in Kansas, it's a beautiful morning. We had a much needed rain yesterday. It's one of those beautiful summer rains where you can go out and stand in the rain and talk to a nice person about Buddhism and not even mind getting wet. So today is soft and green. Things we need to be great, practice gratitude for. Beautiful summer day here in Kansas. Last time I was here, I talked about a story from the Lotus Sutra. And I'm going to keep going on with that series. Again, I'm using Gene Reeves' story book, Stories from the Lotus Sutra, along with the Lotus, his translation of the full Lotus Sutra. I looked through the index of this, and there's a chapter called Doing the Common Good. I thought, I don't have any idea what that's about, but I like the name of it, so I picked it up and I decided that's what I'm going to do my Dharma talk on. The Lotus Sutra chapter 6 is what he discussed in the chapter Doing the Common Good is Buddha assurances of becoming a Buddha. And I always read the Lotus Sutra along with my stories, my basically commentary. And if you've not read the Lotus Sutra before, and I say this every time I talk about the Lotus Sutra, and I talk about the Lotus Sutra a lot because I really like it, read some. Or if you're adventuresome, read it all. Everything in the Lotus Sutra is told twice, once in verse and once in prose. It can be a little flowery at times, and you could say a little redundant. And each time I talk about the Lotus Sutra, I have to do a little bit of reading, and I'm going to try to keep it small today because you can go read the Lotus Sutra and you can get the idea of what it's like to read the Lotus Sutra. I like it. A lot of people find it hard. I'm going to read a little quote. This bit is right after Buddha assures a few people that in the future, they will become a Buddha. The quote from the Lotus Sutra is, then Mahamaguyayana, Subhuta, Mahakayana, and others, all trembling with excitement, put their palms together in rapt attention and gazed into the world-honored one's face, not for an instant lowering their eyes. Their voices in unison, they sang in verse, great hero of world-honored ones, Dharma king of the Shakyas, out of compassion for us, allow us to hear the voice of the Buddhas, knowing the depths in our minds that if you assure us that of us becoming Buddhas, it would be like being bathed in nectar, changing heat to cool. And that's what I'm going to read from the Lotus Sutra itself. There's so much here, as everything in the Lotus Sutra. The first time I read it, there were times when I just had to say, okay, this has been passed down for 2,500 years, read it. And a lot of it was slogging through. But after reading it numerous times, everything in the Lotus Sutra has a lot to say. The Lotus Sutra itself is full of places where the Buddha promises people they will become a Buddha in the future. And in a way, isn't that kind of why we're all here now? We bow to the Buddha with the assurance that we too are Buddha. A priest friend of mine from Shasta Abbey signs all of her letters, Buddha to Buddha. What a great way to remind us that we are all Buddha. When I was around Nonan, when I'd do something wrong, he'd slap his hand and say, bad Buddha, bad Buddha. Then he'd look at me and say, but you're still Buddha. And we're all Buddha here. But also, when the main Buddha, the big Buddha in our tradition, tells us, you are going to be a real Buddha, that has to feel good. That has to be great. Because in a way, we all would love to be that teacher that is remembered for generations. And part of us, we all want to be special. And even if it's among our peers, we'd love to be known as a great teacher or just a great person. That's another talk, but I'm going back to the Lotus Sutra. Stories of the Lotus Sutra. This story pulls out one bit of the whole chapter of Buddha assurances that we're all going to be Buddha. And what this story, I'm just going to read about this one person from Jean Reeves' book. A long time ago, the Buddha says, there's a prince who earnestly sought the supreme awakening by meditating 1 billion years. But he still was not successful. To help, gods from the highest heavens prepared a throne for him under a Bodhi tree. And the kings from the lowest heaven rained flowers over him. And ever so often, from time to time, a fragrant wind would come by and brush away the old flowers so new ones could fall from the heavens. Okay, I read this and I say, okay. Sometimes I feel bad when I go to a weekend sesshin and I sit all weekend and feel like, boy, nothing happened. What did I do wrong? But this guy sat 1 billion years. Another note about the Lotus Sutra as a whole, it deals with very large numbers. This translation says 1 billion years. I bet you could find another translation where it would be said in some very fanciful way about how long it takes a maiden to wear down a mountain by flowing over it with her robe, and how long it would take that robe to wear down the mountain. He sat a long time. Back to the Lotus Sutra. Finally, the Dharma came to him, and he became fully awakened, and the Buddha named him excellent in great penetrating wisdom. Before leaving home, this prince had 16 sons, the prince that had been sitting 1 billion years. When they heard their father had become a Buddha, they gave up their playthings and went to him, followed by their grandfather, their kings and hundreds of ministers and thousands of ordinary people. When they arrived before this new Buddha, the prince all congratulated and praised and honored. Oh, I'm sorry, I misread the commas. When they arrived before the prince, they all congratulated, praised, and honored him for doing something that everyone would benefit from. And they begged him to explain the Dharma. This is not necessarily a factual story. If you sit for 1 billion years, your grandfather's probably still not alive, and your 16 sons probably still wouldn't be alive. But it tells us how to practice. We keep practicing, even if for 1 billion years. And sometimes we just need to sit for 40 minutes, and that's enough. We just keep practicing. I'm going to pull in an aside here. This doesn't mean that if we sit for 1 billion years, we will become a Buddha. As we remember the koan of polishing tiles, or Nangaku, was walking by and saw somebody sitting in the Buddha hall sitting, and he asked his attendant, what's he doing in there? And Basho said, why? He's sitting to be a Buddha. And Nagaku picks up a tile and starts polishing it really hard. And Basho said, what are you doing? And Nagaku said, I'm making a mirror out of the tile. And Basho said, you can't do that. And Nagaku said, basically, you can no longer make a mirror out of a tile than you can become a Buddha by sitting. So there's a lot more to it than just sitting. But let's go back to my story. Also, we noticed that a bunch of heavenly beings came by and was helping the prince, the unnamed prince, until he got his name, his Dharma name, sit. I thought, wow, wouldn't it be nice to have heavenly beings help me sit? But then I thought, there's a lot of heavenly beings that help us sit, help us every day. Who built that nice building you're sitting in right now? And what heavenly beings made it cool in the summer and warm in the winter? It's those people sitting right next to you, that as they leave, they drop a bill in the Dana bowl. We are all heavenly beings helping each other sit. That's what Sangha is. We're all heavenly beings helping one another attain Buddhahood, become that Buddha, so we can sign our letters, Buddha to Buddha, Shuji. We're all heavenly beings. And that's why this chapter is called Doing the Common Good. The writing goes on, discussing the great teaching, the numerous beings and numerous eons. And then it states this, the 16 princes all became novice monks, and they begged the Buddha, that's a new Buddha, to preach now, and not just about awakening, but about the supreme awakening, how to become a Buddha. And the new Buddha talked at length about how to become a Buddha. And following his talk, the great penetrating wisdom Buddha went into a state of deep meditation for 84,000 eons. Seeing this and realizing that someone would need to do the work of Buddha in this absence, the 16 novices each taught the Dharma Flower Sutra to monks and nuns, and laymen and women, the whole time, and thereby helping billions and billions of living beings. When the Buddha emerged from his 84,000 eons of meditation, he praised the novices. End of the story. What do we get from this story? I remember when Nonan was telling us at Nebraska Zen Center that all of us wearing a rakusu, the little blue thing we wear around our neck, is a sign that we know what we're doing. We at least know when to bow during services. So he'd tell new people, watch the people with rakusus. And I looked around and thought, oh my goodness, I'm one of the senior people here. My first feeling was fear. Eek! I'm supposed to know what's going on. I'm sure when those 16 princes realized that their teacher, their father, the Buddha, was meditating for a while and they had to go out and teach, I'm sure each one thought, eek, I don't know how. I've been learning from the great Buddha and now I have to teach. I have to spread the Dharma. But we do. We, sometimes after a very short time, what we may feel is a very short time, we're responsible for spreading the Dharma, showing the Dharma to be knowledgeable, at the least behave, and to know what we're doing there and how to answer questions. The first time I was at Shasta Abbey as a layperson, I had a room to myself and I had been there a month, and we had a big retreat, so I had to share my room. And the guest master said, be sure your room looks like how a monk's room look. My first thing was panic. It's like, what does a monk's room looks like? And I said, Reverend Master Shiko, what's that? She said, just behave. It's like, okay, I think I can do that. I think I can behave like a monk. I wasn't ready to do that. I wasn't ready to be when people walk into the Nebraska Zen Center, they're going to look at you and know what to do. I wasn't ready to have my room look like a monk's room. When I became a priest, I wasn't ready to be a priest. But I wasn't ready to give this Dharma talk this morning, but we do it. We step up and we share the Dharma. We're only novices. I'm just a layperson. I've only been coming for 3 weeks. A new person come. Hey, you have 3 weeks more than that new person. Smile, be nice, be like a monk. Behave, be nice, be kind. You just do it. My first teacher, Nonan, died a while ago. It was hard. It was really hard for me because our breakup was so unkind on both of our sides. I really feel sorry for you at the Des Moines Zen Center because you got the post-breakup Shuji. When I came here, I was so full of rage towards him, towards myself, towards Soto Zen Buddhists as a whole. And I'm afraid I took it out on a lot of you. But everyone there was so kind to me. It's like, yeah, that's what the Dharma is. Welcoming this really, really angry person. Whoa, she's supposed to be a priest? Woo-hoo. I need to rethink my whole thing about being part of this group, but just being kind. And eventually, I want to say thank you. In the 10 years or so since I left him, a lot of forgiveness and reflection. Now I can see the Dharma that I was gifted to him. He was a good teacher sometimes. Like we're all good teachers sometimes. And sometimes we're bad Buddha. And sometimes we're just neutral. That's what we are. It's hard when a teacher dies, or in the above story, just goes into deep meditation for 84,000 eons. We pick up and we teach the Dharma. The best ability we have. Your guiding teacher has been up in Ramanji for a while. Des Moines Zen Center seems to be carrying on just fine without him. He's not dead. He's not in deep meditation, but he's not here giving Dharma talks. Asian may not have felt ready. I don't know. We haven't talked about him. But he seems to be doing a bang-up job. He was just a novice monk, just like all of us. We're all novices in our own way. Now he has a teacher's blessing to be a full teacher. And that is how our tradition goes on. We walk in to the temple. We learn a few teachings. We stick around. Suddenly we're not the new people. Suddenly we're the oldest person there. And we're teaching the new people. My group in Grand Rapids is growing just fine without me. I left it in very capable hands. Sun Shin and Shin Q are doing a great job. I'm still involved, but eventually it'll be my students that are in charge. We're all working for the common good of all. We're all sharing the Dharma. Each generation Aishin and I were generation 84 from the Buddha. From what I see of generation 85, it's going to be great. And if I'm lucky, I'll be able to glimpse generation 86. Maybe 87 if I'm really lucky. But that's what we're doing. We're sharing the Dharma for the common good of all. So, thank you.